All right, what's going on, Soul Child Life community? Thank you for being here, present with me, and thank you for allowing me to be present with you. What a beautiful, great blessing. Um, Before I go forth, I should have done this before, but I don't have nothing to set this thing on, so I'm gonna kind of reset it, and you're gonna hear sound. So be enjoyed by this beautiful, wonderful sound. I used to have all my things all lit up. And I think gonna make sense, The key thing is to make sense. And the key thing is to connect with your senses. Respectfully. The sun is coming out. Pray that sun will actually brighten the day up. A little gloomy here, but pray we have definitely a brightened day. Light. I gotta get a brand new lighter, y'all. But I'm lighting this, busting up. Yep. Woo! Almost got me, boy. Boy, almost got me. Lighting up sweet grass, basically. Ceremonial service. It's ancestors, I want to welcome them into the connection here. Okay. So, that's lit in. You may see some smoke. Hope you may do. All right, so let's go for. Oh, wait, one more thing. I'm so sorry. I'm really so sorry. I forgot to do this other little thing here. With the wind being still today is a good day to do such a beautiful thing. You hear my voice, so you're not seeing my face, but you're hearing me because I'm setting things up. I should have had these things set up in advance. Got a little ceremony service. And it's going to be a great day. And I'm going to have fun doing this recording. Blessing on win out, y'all. Sounds good. Alrighty. So here we go. We'll do it one more time. Alrighty, so that was a beautiful, great blessing, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. So let me have a conversation with you now, breaking bread. All right. So as we've been going through this period of process of a beautiful revolution, and it reminds me of a quote from Jill Scott. He said, "The revolution cannot be televised," but a quote came to me, although the revolution cannot be televised, but surprisingly, it is advised in general. I'm gonna make sure I remember that quote. That made me remind me of that. So when I'm coming from many different angles here, and it's a very good, beautiful, premeditated state, a healthy meditated state, and it will be in an equilibrium meditative state. It's nice to see collectively all around the earth and all around this dimension, and within this dimension, that we're physical dimension we're living in. It's amazing to see when there's a unity sign, when there's a collective sign. It's just a beautiful thing to see. But in all reality, truth be told, all signs are actually beautiful because they all lead to a message, and that message leads to some sort of change or a revolution sense. And what I want to talk about is the importance of why it's happening. A lot of beings want something like a quick peace offering. And don't get me wrong, I admit sometimes myself, I may want a quick peace offering where this all can be settled. This all can be just done with, right? But in reality, and I mean reality in this present state, speaking of being present with the conditions and being present with the symptoms and being present with the root, what's happened is that as a tribal existence creation, we all are. Because truth be told, all of us, even the animals, the plants, the animal kingdom, the existence of other life forms from animals, the name we call them, different name and different words and stuff, from animals to the plants, to the natural resources, naturally given, not what man is creating in a little private little space and, doing, changing the structure, the structure of a DNA existence of a creation formation, the unity of a creation formation. But the natural existence of things we naturally see, like right now, my feet is naturally on the ground. You can see my shoes are naturally off. It feels good to naturally speak. It continues to affirm the senses within my existence, naturally to speak. So as every tribe specifically is out here, respectfully to say, in general, and respectfully to say to all tribes, we all have a voice. We all have a voice. We all want to sound. And in this present moment, this voice that's a common voice right now, it has been so common that it's been silent for many, many eras and many, many generations. It's now the loudness, like you heard it earlier, the sound ball. It's now the voice is escalating and getting louder and louder, day by day, moment by moment, existence by existence, life by life, after and before. It's all rising to a high sounded vibration. Of frequencies, not singular, frequencies that the power of man power cannot even contain or cannot necessarily constrain. So the challenge of this power is that it's so powerful that anything that any mankind, any mortal being, I'm referring more man, not animals and plants and the elements and stuff, but reference of mankind, the willpower within us, the high blazing power, the universal power, any program, any existence, any specific ideal that wants to control this existent power is continuing to be shattered. And that's speaking in this dimension, being present in this realm, that's even including every single program that has some type of statue of a position, whether it's a higher position, meaning a higher authority, or whether it's actually a lower position. Now, I'm not speaking about competition here, and I'm not trying to cause no stir of jealousy or whatever, rivalry, whatever. But even from a lower position in general, it's all being the key words: purge, cleanse, reevaluate, by all means, uprooted, detach. It's all happening, naturally to speak. Not by man's, although we have the power of life in the tongue. That's the saying go, why saying go, speak power, life, but death in the tongue. Although we have this availability and this capability, these natural abilities to do such a thing that will shake and shift the whole parameter of life, the whole formation of the existence of life. So what do we do? Now, this is unto those specific beings, existences, who wants to control, who wants to rule over certain jurisdictions, certain territories within this physical realm, and say, no, I individually, or we together as a collective group wants to rule specifically the outcome, how things going to be. Because why? Because we want to be simply the key word, rulers. RULERS, rulers. Being basically present They want to be the rulers in the present. And the truth be told, there's no need to be of that going forward. So now with this revolution, as Jim Scott say, the revolution cannot be televised. But again, as I said, added to that quote, although surprised, it is advised. So I say I have something for I have a message for a specific tribe, and to the not indigenous tribes, not to the melanated being tribes, but respectfully to the tribes of the Caucasoid, the Caucasians. Historically speaking, you will know your history existence. Truth be told, we all came from some sort of a color verification melanated being, and tonality, things just got different. But unto that tribe that spread it out so widely, it may now seem a little bit to be in numbers to speak, it may seem very few. This is the message unto you all. And I'm not saying in anger, and I'm not saying in racial slurs. Be advised. Again, a lot of you all wants to still hold that high position. A lot of you still wants to feel that if you do a certain participation with a certain indigenous beings, as a matter of fact, to go a little bit back history, as your ancestors kind of did a little bit, those who particular to do such a thing as this, basically infiltrated a movement, a shift that was so powerful that your ancestors was not able to comprehend. So they felt at the moment the need to constrain, to restrict, and to make sure that that shift, that revolution will be all by means seized at any moment given. And since they know that they couldn't go from an angle of actually doing it themselves, they infiltrated into a program shift. And to be honest, it's sad to say, it was sense to say, meant to be, but infiltrated and came into a operation. And within that operation, all they basically did was infiltrate, like getting information. And all they did was able to have a strong hold in that position. So they say history repeats itself. And this is something that if you can step back from all those who are right now protesting, not bash you, not saying you're doing something wrong, because I'm not speaking that in your life, not even saying you're doing something wrong. Your cause is a reason. But if you all can step back and see the patterns and see repeatedly how the patterns may not at the first moment right now may be obvious to see, but see how it's still, matter of fact, up in the sneaking, up in the moment. So what you respectfully do is that I will say unto them, you honestly would not be able to understand the relation between the injustice that has happened over the decades, the how many ever long that has happened to the indigenous tribe. This stuff doesn't even go to the, just no disrespect to my own tribes, indigenous people, color being, melanated being. This don't even just go pertaining to us, but this pertains to everything that your Caucasoid tribes have done into the whole infrastructure of life. Things that y'all have partaken, things, operations that y'all have, matter of fact, wanted to just I don't know, wanted to, I guess, challenge the whole, see, can we bend the divine, universal divine laws and do things like that? That was unnecessary. But for that existence, for that moment, for that experience, I was given because that was going to be a reflection many, many years and later on that we will have a moment just as this, as it is now, to speak here, present being now, that we're going to have a moment like this to speak about it. And matter of fact, to address it, sensitively to speak, and be honest about it. So now the era has come. Well, all the reigning of that was seize and stop. There's two options here. You can cooperate, or matter of fact, you can make a choice to choose not to. Either way, if you don't choose to do it in a good way, in a healthy way, and not just only come up and confess and say, yes, this is what I answered, we take the responsibility, like vice versa. We, as another tribe too, we're responsible for the things that I answered done that was not healthy. Not to say that the indigenous tribes have the perfect test, perfect life score. We surely damn don't, in a sense to say. None of us honestly do. But we all have to address the sensitivity of what has occurred, what has happened. But the Caucasoids, y'all have so much of a beautiful, grand, spectacular privilege before you. I won't go with the common term, they call it the white privilege, although some may say that may be obviously it. But I will go with the reference of saying it is actually a position And then this is a clear example. This is a real true reality. In your positions, if you wanted to address something and you want to really make it directly publicly, you can probably go in the White House, maybe not necessarily with one individual, but you say you get like say, let's just go with a nice number here, 100 people, 100 male, female, mass energy, feminine energy, and you all go to the White House. You do the first obvious state, which is protest. You stand out the dates of the White House. But say if you go there now directly suited with arms, with guns, the man-made mechanical device, guns. And say that y'all have a communication with one another saying that we are not going to go for and we're not going to shoot nobody, but we're going to go for the standing statement and go into this place, this capital place, this matter of fact fortress place, the fortress place that for many decades and many generations our own ancestors sat in this place and felt so secure to the point they said we're going to block it off. Because why? We are simply that powerful. And we can give access to anybody whom we choose to come in here. Now that, to be honest, it's a selfish thing. Little did y'all know. As a matter of fact, maybe the ancestors didn't know. But going back to saying what I was saying, you all go into that place. You all have a public full exposure. And you call out every single thing. Matter of fact, since y'all like to write downs and sign it and make a declaration and put the stamp on it, whether that's your direct blood, you may do a blood service there now. Or you may just do it with pen. Write it down with pen. But knowing that y'all tribes are very unique, it's very interesting that you will preserve such a document. So you will preserve that. And you will hold that and make that some sort of law. You will not use other previous laws to say, hey, you know what, we're going to use these other previous laws to cheat this, what we're about to do, so that when we actually continue to go forward in another era generation, that other era generation, matter of fact, don't get the benefit from it. No. Sincerely to speak, search your heart. Re-examine yourself. Matter of fact, you need to fast. Now, truth be told, let's be honest, let's be realistic here. Some of the tribes of your tribe, some members of your tribe, respectfully, would not actually participate. Would not even, matter of fact, wanted to deal with that at all. They would say they would probably go to more of a universal let things be for what it is. And I understand that, and that's true. It is, as the saying goes, as it is. But don't dismiss a sense of sensitivity that you can have a great effect in this. Now, what y'all may sense that, well, our own people, our ancestors did the same thing. Marched for many days, many hours. Matter of fact, some bled in their own feet. Shoes got very, very worn out. And in respect to say in that sense, as shoes got very worn out, bloody feet, sweat, tears, backs aching, working hard, all of this stuff was happening. Voice got out, and they left it up to our era generation, presently speaking now, and left it up to us to continue the same strategies. They said the definition of insanity is repeat something over and over again, knowing that it ain't gonna really work out, or voice out, and then expect different results. And I'm gonna just use an example here, because even as me being a writer, me being a poet, me being an rapper, artist, whatever, I still go back and reevaluate and be like, hey, I don't want to go with the same approach there. There has to be something different. And I'm not saying that to bash my own indigenous tribe people down, respectfully say to y'all existence and beautiful selves. But that's something that, respectfully, that these other Caucasoid tribes to do. It's efficient. It's very efficient. It's so efficient to the point, and it's not, somebody say, well, that sounds like more of a non-violence, a peaceful approach. Well, if it is a sense of a peaceful approach where your senses are not damaged, your mortal existence is not damaged, you didn't lose yourself in this. I mean, you can still be productive. You still can be in an active way and stay basically and interactive within yourself. You still can use social media platforms and spread things like this. You still can make songs and talk about it in your conversation, in your lyrics. You still can do a design and bring it up in I don't know, in the conversation about that when you're doing your design. So there is still beneficial, effective ways that you still can apply such applications as example like this to address and to propose and inform them saying, hey, unto the Caucasoids, Caucasians, you may call us black people, respect to say, We don't need y'all to be a leader over an organization over us. We don't need that. Y'all have done that before. And go back, trace history, you'll see. You have done that before. We don't need y'all to come along and y'all be part of our so-term movement again. And then all of a sudden we got now traitors. And it's not even just y'all, because it's sad to say, truth be told, it can be any tribe, but it can be any members of the tribe can respectfully be bought out. There are carnal pleasures, the flesh desires. There are human distortion that pleases our senses, whether that's a physical sense, spiritual sense, whatever the case may be. It pleases our senses, and in return, what happens is that we are easy drawn into. So what applications do we need to apply before we get into such a situation, such an experience? Well, that's simply say we need to go back home. People say, what you mean? Back to Africa? Back to Aqaba land? Back to the physical direct land? Not necessarily. I mean, that'd be nice if we all can do that one time. That'd be nice. But we need to go back home, referring to internally within. And we need to reevaluate that. We need to reevaluate ourselves. I got 5 fingers here. And if I turn my hand sideways, what is my thumb doing? Majority at me, pointing the finger back at me. Right? So in return, I just simply have to reevaluate myself. My ancestors, respectfully to speak to them, did not heal. They did not heal. So what has happened through that effect, sadly to say, the passed down, generationally speaking, was that brokenness carried on another many generations. And then I was actually one of the effects of it. So now what do I do in this present state, in this present moment, in this present day, in this present era? I don't go forth and too much focus on getting so actively involved into a protest. Matter of fact, I go forth and get actively involved into myself first. And I get actively involved into my senses, and I get actively involved into my inner brokenness, whatever the case may be, first starting with first within me, so that I can first heal within. And as I go actively, go forth actively speaking out, living out, lifestyle, whatever the case, I'm actively doing things that are so beneficial to my existence, and that will be a beneficial effective to everything around me, universally speaking here. Hashtag URA, by the way, which stands for University Revolutionary Azadon. But doing things such as that, actions such as that, now when I'm speaking, there's clarity in my tone. There's no need for me to raise too much of my voice, unless if I had to in a proper way. But now I can speak with clearness and soundness. And I can address situations, circumstances in ways where it's not too much about favoritism on one side, like all favoritism right, but don't have a balance between right or wrong, between light or dark, between unhealthy or healthy. That's just the key matter of that concept of the connection there. So that's what you respect for y'all. And I encourage you to share this video. So if you are part into our indigenous tribes, if you are part of a group where there's, for example, the McK'cipher, and they're running it, and they're saying, well, we can be one of your leaders in the group, please, by all means, get out the group. Just get out the group. Matter of fact, go make your own group. Yes, respectfully, go make your own group. Don't put them in the positions, and they may not like it, because they're like, well, we deserve some type of fairness here. Well, don't respectfully put them in a position where it's going to cause some casualties. You can do business associations with them, like exactly as it still is to this very present day. And 1 out of 10 in parts still going to be that way, maybe some sort. You still could do business with them, but do it in an association way. And if you have a good connection with them, a good connection with some of them, whom actually can really not just be down to earth, not just be well-rounded, but who really understands like this, and they don't take offensive, they don't get upset, they don't get mad, they just like, okay, let's hear it out, and let's re-examine ourselves, and let's go back and let's address our ancestors, whether they want to speak it in prayer, meditation, they want to verbally speak it, they want to silently speak it. Address your ancestors and say, hey, there's some things that, matter of fact, maybe there's a lot of things on the list that has happened that we are now being, matter of fact, held for that. And that's a real personal experience that we all go through individually when we actually get connected to our ancestors and get connected to. And it's not all about ancestors, but our ancestors respectfully have a major position, a major role in this life. So I'm not dismissing their presence, to no disrespect to them. I give gratitude for them, thanksgiving for them, because they have experiences, and 9 out of 10 experiences somehow, some sort have blended, have passed down within us, and we recall them experiences when there are certain circumstances or certain things are activated within our senses. If that makes sense, to your senses. So that's respectfully how efficiently, productively, practically, fundamentally we can apply this. And as far as indigenous tribes, it is the revolution for us to come together. Now, we are all cut from different cloths, from the same cloth, but we're just different tribes, different figures, different features, different dialogues, different speech, but we have a common tongue. We have a common language, a common ground. And the common ground is, actually, respectfully, when we look back, we have a connection with ourselves and a connection with everything around us that we don't need to have this whole ego thing going on. So instead, we can some sort of way come together in this collectiveness, not focus on too much coming together to, not to say you don't have a reason for your vengeance, you don't have a cause for your vengeance, you don't have a cause for your anger, but instead, what we do is basically we come together, and all we do is we share in common interest, a share in common link, and be like, hey, let's address these things and let's propose. And until the Caucasoid tribes, you must understand there are possessions, yes, physical matter possessions that you have that's been passed down from your ancestors. And if you track back and if you really inquire to your ancestor, inquire to whomever's still living, like, is this really truly, respectfully, rightfully ours? We've been given it. A matter of fact, it's been taken from somewhere, maybe. And if it has been rightfully taken somewhere, and there's some, say for example, the tribes is from that era that has actually it's been taken from that specific land, and it's actually a native possession to that land, then respectfully give that native possession back. Bless it, matter of fact, because you may have had it for so long. Bless it. Ask that anything that you have that has an attachment of yourself to it, ask it to be uprooted and removed from it, so that it won't be no consciousness transfer from your conscious, from transferring to that item, be transferred to whom you're giving it back to. Yes, your possessions. It may not be comfortable, because I understand, you got comfortable, got a nice house, you got boats, you got whatever the riches came with. Now it's time to actually, matter of fact, pause on them riches and start to sign them off. Sign them riches off. Go back and give them riches. You may not like it. I'm being 100. You may not like it 100 at all. You may actually feel so uncomfortable doing it. But it's just the moment to do it. And once you release it, you've done your part. You release. You may say, well, what else can I do? Well, then you just, again, don't come into our community, the village we have using for many eras. Don't come within our community and start to say, well, can I join your? No, you may not actually get a permission to join. No disrespect. That's just something what it is. But you respectfully may be able to be told to do something. So if it's something that needs to be sniffed out, weeded out, then respectfully, yes, let it be weeded out. And if you have to calm your tribe and say, hey, man, we can't do what our ancestors did. We can't go be part of their movement and try to do what our ancestors did, try to be part of the whole, oh, we're with you. Nah, 9 out of 10, you may not really, honestly ever be with us. But you may understand us. And if you can gain a blessing from that, then that's the blessing of understanding us. That's the blessing you can do. Don't try to dress like us, talk like us. All that's unnecessary. But for many respectful eras, it was necessary because it was meant to be led up to this point. Hello, y'all. Led up to this point. So that's what it is. It's a lot of addressing matters here. A lot of things, again, like I said, on both sides, we all have to address on the table here. And we all have to communicate. And just go in application ways where this can be shared universally, to be respectful and honest to speak. I'm so honored, I'm so grateful to come with an approach where it's not about you bowing down, kissing black people's feet in any tonality of color. It's not about that. And if some of us are actually telling you to do that, I'm not going to say I'm not going to say, matter of fact, I really agree to that, to be honest with you, because I believe there's still some moralness here, And there are some beautiful, great, Caucasoids whom I met, who have blessed me, my personal experience, have blessed me, given me money, have bought me food, have gave me rides. And there's been some who did not do that. They just called me a nigga and all that type of stuff, and that was unnecessary. But for them, it meant for that moment need to be for them to address, and that's what they did. That's what they felt they needed to do. So I hold no grudges with them, hold no pain or something. But I'm happy that this video is getting brought, because you have to seriously, like, we as a beautiful, powerful existence, melanated color beings. We're so powerful. Look at all the wonderful, so much of explanation or so many of stories of about who we are and our existences, how it has been overtold for so many eras. Yes, in history, it's time for that slavery history. Not to say we can't still have a conversation amongst our own home. Maybe that may be a little bit more, collective together as a griot. We tell stories about it. But it's now time to, until the Caucasoid, you got these figures of 4 men carved on a stone, I forgot, the Grand Canyon or whatever. It's time to remove them faces. Yes, let them go. You hold on to them too much. Let them go. Respectfully, let them